Hopefully, the wind is not going to disturb this whole stream because there's a lot of wind this side. So hopefully, it's not audible on the audio, if that even makes sense. Um, I tried to do a stream yesterday, but it seems you guys specifically want certain things, and I understand. Um, I'll do that for a while up until I've grown sufficiently. But yeah, I'm going to give you a brief description of basically the stream that I was trying to do yesterday, right? And then I'll get to the upsets predictions for UFC Paris. Renato Moicano versus Benoit and Denis. Uh, um, Aviraj, how are you, my brother? Good, man. I'm good. Thoughts on Gabriel Miranda? I'll give you my full thoughts, but since you are the first one to come onto the stream, let me just give you a brief. He has finishing power, but I don't know. Let me just go through the information because I do a little bit of research instead of me just giving you like something off the top of my head. Because if I trusted the things that are coming just out of my head, I wouldn't write any of these things down. So I prefer, especially when it comes to statistics and who actually has the higher probability of actually winning. I prefer to actually look at solid information. Well, the way I write it is horrible, but still I understand it. So I would rather, at the very least, give you information based on the research that I did, as opposed to just rattling things from the top of my head. So before I get started, I wanted to make a stream yesterday. I actually did, but what happened happened. Um, Bro, I watched previous tapes of Miranda, and he's really good on the ground. And bro, if he takes Morgan down, the game is surely over. I could see that. I could see that. You're making me break down a fight that I haven't even started going through the abscess predictions. But let me just see if there's merit to what you're saying right now. Where's that fight? Gabriel Miranda versus. I mean, my subscribers and I said this fight. My subscribers said this fight is 80% risky. I said it's 65% risky. I'll try and explain a little bit in detail once I get to the fight. But I mean, there's merit to what you're saying. I know that he's a really talented fighter, man. I think um, what do you call him? Morgan Charrier has the ability to actually improve and become a really formidable contender in the UFC. But the reason I felt like it was risky was because I saw a couple of things that made me worry. Um, let me actually get what I wanted to say out of my head so that I can start doing the upside predictions. So after the UFC 306 situation, I'll try to summarize everything so that I don't take too much of your time. So I wanted to come up with a solution. So for everyone who's betting, um, I don't encourage anyone to bet or anything like that. But I know that a lot of people who watch my videos, that's what they're doing. And a lot of people don't even do it responsibly. So I'm trying to try to make sure that you evaluate the risk. There's a reason why my channel I've added risky and safe picks. It doesn't necessarily mean when I say a fight is safe, it's 100% safe. But I'm telling you that the probability of success here and my confidence in that particular fight is a little bit higher in this particular fight. So when you assess specific fights, when if you want to be a profitable better or a gambler. Um, these are things that you need to take into consideration. First, ensure that first ensure that you assess risk. Do not just put money on every single fight that you. If is your favorite fighter, then you just put money on them. Um, if you look back at the whole year, the amount of money that you've spent, have you made money or have you lost money? Let's say throughout the year, since January, let's say you've been betting on fights, right? And let's say so far you've spent 5,000. Like, have you made 9,000? Meaning, have you returned the investment that you made and made profit, or you have lost money? And that, so those are things that you need to take into consideration. So the simplest, one of the easiest ways, and I go back to what I was saying, there's a reason why I included risky and safe predictions, so that I can try and minimize your risk levels. So when my subscribers and I agree that a fight is safe, the probability is, and I'm going to do like a recap video in December. Like, I'm going to evaluate all my predictions from January, and just to check the quality of not just my picks, but the fights that we said were safe, and all those type of things. Even though I've been recently successful, apart from UFC 306, I think I need to evaluate that. So make sure that you limit your risk. One of the easiest ways to do that is to look at the fights that my subscribers and I only agree on, especially if we both say that those fights are safe. Number two is to make sure that you manage your money correctly. If you win 1,000 rand, do not take the whole 1,000 rand and bet with it, or spend it all on whatever it is that you want to spend it on. Um, or spend it all on whatever it is that you want to spend it on. What's these emojis in the comment section? So if you win 1,000 rand, I don't advise this, but at the very least, if you want to blow the money somehow, then blow 50% of it. Make sure that you are betting with the money that you won, not the money that you are taking out of your own pocket. Because a lot of the time when I do the people that I'm picking are not necessarily favorites. I think, but anyway, Chris Duncan is a plus 180 underdog. Um, so, do I think an upset is possible here? Uh, let me see. Let me see. Um, I don't know, man. I feel pretty confident that Balaji Oki is going to win, but it's probably going to be a really close fight. Um, I think we haven't seen enough in order to be able to accurately assess how the fight will play out. But I feel pretty not confident, but I think there's a decently high probability of Balaji Oki winning. But I'm not gonna sit here and say an upset is not possible. So yeah, an upset is possible here, but I'm leaning towards Bolaji Oki. My subscribers are leaning towards Chris Duncan. And fights like these, especially when my subscribers and I do not agree, just play far from them. So an upset is possible here. On to the next one, Nora Connolly versus Jacqueline Cavalcanti. My subscribers feel like this fight is 63% risky. I feel like it's 100% risky. Um, Nora Connolly is a plus 160 underdog, and Jacqueline Cavalcanti is a minus 195 favorite. My subscribers went with Jacqueline Cavalcanti. I went with Nora Connolly. In all honesty, I feel like this fight is pretty close. Tweezy Rich, um, how are you, man? How are you? I try to give people advice, and they just, if you manage to watch this stream after, just listen. And I was giving some solid financial advice. Anyway, Um, do I think an upset is possible here? 100%, largely because and in a close fight, I think Nora Connolly is has a little bit more power. It's difficult for me to justify this because it's a coin flip in my opinion. I just went with Nora Connolly because I feel like she will be able to finish the fight a little bit better. Where what do you call her? Where Jacqueline Cavalcanti is good at. So that's basically my reasoning. It could go either way, in my personal opinion. So yeah, I mean, on the feed, I don't know if the fight will go to the ground if it ever does. So yeah, I'm not really confident. And Cavalcanti is also coming in on short notice, so that's something to take into consideration. So yeah, an upset is possible here. I don't want to lie to you. So the best thing to do would be to stay away from it. Also, another thing is like my subscribers and I disagree on this particular fight. So that's another close, and even the odds reflect how I feel because it's not that big of a difference in terms of odds. Anyway, an upset is definitely possible here. I'm going with Nora Connolly. My subscribers are going with Jacqueline Cavalcanti. On to the next one, Daniel Perez versus Victor Altamirano. My subscribers feel like this fight is 65% risky. I feel like it's 59% risky. Surprisingly, the odds are nearly close. Daniel Perez is minus 105 and Victor Altamirano is minus 115. Um, I don't even know why I said surprisingly because I think it makes sense. Um, Tuesday, I think Perez actually. I mean, you could be right. It is possible. Daniel Perez. My subscribers and I went with Victor Altamirano. Do I? Let me see. Yeah, man. Like it's going to be a tricky one. Because I feel like on the feed, Victor Altamirano will have the advantage. Um, on the ground, I'm leaning more towards Daniel Perez. Woo. Yeah, this one is a little bit tricky. I just went with um, a lot of the people on this cards, and I think I remember saying something like this last week, and people were saying I'm crazy. I was like, I have the same feeling I had about UFC 306. I have the same feeling about this card because there are so many fights that are so close and people don't see them. When I was telling people that Raul Rosas Jr. Might lose, even though when I said the fight was 100% risky, people were like, "No, man, how is that 100% risky?" Is that I saw when I was analyzing the fight, and I'm not saying, and that's why I picked Raul Rosas Jr. But my point was, it's going to be a hard fight, and so far, all the fights that I've mentioned, I'm still in the prelims. I'm on the third fight right now. So every single fight that I've mentioned, I think it's going to be tricky. I'm sticking with Victor Altamirano. I trust my analysis. That is definitely possible here. Um, so on to the next one, Alien Perez. Alien Perez. Okay, before I move on, I feel like Felipe Dos Santos is ultra easy to take down. I don't think he does that too. But now, Twizzy, on that I disagree with you because even though, even though you might feel like Perez has decent hands, I don't see that. Maybe he has power, but I think Altamirano will be the better striker, and he will have a little bit of reach. In my opinion, I think that's going to swing the fight towards his end, especially on the feet. On the ground, I feel like I'm not going to say either one of them is elite level grapplers, but I just feel like if anyone is going to be on top in terms of grappling exchanges, it's probably going to be Barez. But I'm still picking Altamirano. I just feel like he's going to find a way to win. But yeah, an upset is definitely possible here. Um, Kano, your internet connection is not very good, my friend. Is it that bad, man? I'm using 5G. I don't know. I haven't had any problems in a very long time. Maybe it's because there's wind so I don't expect. Um, everyone who's watching, are you having any issues with seeing me? Please tell me in the comment section if maybe my connection is bad. Anyway, let me move on to the next one. But just to the frames per second are a bit laggy. It's lagging hard for me. Um, Kano, I'm sorry, man. I don't know how to, and I've already started. I think maybe I should have checked this whole thing. And I don't want to. Should I just continue or something like that? Because I don't want to make this thing too long. It's already 20 minutes, and I am not even halfway through the card. Um, what should I do? Should I try to? Yeah, I can hear you properly, but everything else is laggy. It depresses me. I thought this problem was resolved. These people are selling things and they're calling them 5G, and then things like this happen. Anyway, let me just try to finish up, and then I'll try to see what the problem was. Um, okay, okay, let me continue. Yeah, I'll try to see what the problem is. This never hardly ever happens. I think Tweezy used to complain about it, and I tried to fix it. So I can't recall him saying anything. So I thought maybe the problem was not um, Apex. Which country are you in? I'm in South Africa. Anyway, on to the next one. Alien Perez versus Daria Zelesnikova. My subscribers feel like this fight is 75% risky. I feel like it's 51% safe. Aileen Perez is a minus 270 favorite, and Zelesnikova is a plus 220 underdog. I don't know, man. I don't know. I mean, there's a reason why. Even though I'm not very confident, I don't want to speak badly about WMMA. I'm trying to be a changed person, but as far as the results go, we know that women's MMA produce some of the most unpredictable results, and it's probably extremely risky to actually even consider putting anything on someone who's still coming up. I think women's MMA becomes a little bit more reliable in the rankings, especially in the top 10 and maybe top 5. Then you can have some level of faith. But I mean, Alexa Grasso just lost as well. So um, I guess I don't know what I'm talking about. um, anyway, let me proceed with this. So I don't think Aileen Perez is going to lose this fight. I think she probably wins. I think she's going to be on the feet, give or take, something like that. I think Daria throws a little bit more. She'll have the reach advantage. So when you combine that with volume, I think she might find a way to be effective there. But on the ground, I think it's going to be Aileen Perez all day, and which I think it's probably going to be her plan. It wouldn't make sense for her to stand with Daria. But, I mean, it's not like Perez will be outclassed on the feet. I feel like Perez is decent defensively. I think she has the ability to knock out opponents. So I don't see Aileen Perez losing this fight, but there's a reason why I said 51% safe. It's largely because even though I'm confident, I'm not very confident. I don't know if this was a fight. Okay, let me not trash them. Let me just move on to the next fight. Um, Tyler Lapulas versus Vince Morales. My subscribers and I went with, and I actually for Tweezy, Tweezy, I don't like picking OnlyFans girls, but I'm going with the Perez. That's brutal, man. Wow. Kenna, can you give me a 3 or 4 play parlay you are confident will pull through? You know, um, I, I don't know how if I'm pronouncing your name properly. Ned Ned Neil Kenna. For the past, excluding UFC 306, my predictions have been incredible for the past 5 weeks. Right, I've been getting maybe one wrong. The crazy part would be that out of all the fights, like it would be like a 12 fight card, and then I'd get like 10 right and only 2 wrong. And out of the 2 that I got wrong, one of them is in the parlay that I felt like would be really good. I'll give you the fights that I feel confident in, but I don't trust my parlays because most of the time you would do better just going with every other fight that you think I'm right on than listening to who I feel confident about. Because most of the time I get like 10 correct and 2 wrong, and out of those 2 wrong, one of them is in the parlay, right? So I'll give you the fights that I feel confident about. I obviously maybe I'm exaggerating. It has happened maybe twice or 3 times, but I don't feel like I'm good at giving parlays. I've heard a couple of people, especially in the comment section, that have asked for parlays, that those parlays have hit. But if I don't feel like I'm need to try and improve at that particular thing before I continue giving out information or just avoid doing it. In this particular situation, I'll try to improve. I think my picks are really good, but just that my parlays are always missed by one, which is sad. But I'll try to fix that. Um, where was I? Aylin Perez. Tweezy says he's not going to pick, and oh, he says he's going to. You guys, I'm trying to be a changed person, and you're taking me back. Anyway, Tyler Lapulus versus Vince Morales. Um, Before I move forward, I did explain that my subscribers and I went with Aileen Perez. Tyler Lapulus versus Vince Morales. My subscribers feel like this fight is 69% safe. I said it's 58% safe. Tyler Lapulus is a minus 350 favorite, and Vince Morales is a plus 275 underdog. If I didn't explain it, I don't think an upset is possible in the Alien Perez fight. I mean, anything can happen in WMMA, but I don't know if an upset is possible there. Tyler Lapulus, is an upset possible here? Um, I don't like feeling this confident about short notice fights, but this is one of the fights that I feel confident about. I'm very confident that Tyler Lapulus is going to win. And my subscribers clearly agree. The odds agree. So the probability of Tyler Lapulus winning are extremely high. I think he's going to be better everywhere, on the feet and on the ground. Even if this fight was in short notice, I don't see Vince Morales winning this fight in any way, shape, or form. So, do I think an upset is possible here? Hell no. Like, it's not gonna happen. Um, so I guess we'll see. Let me go on to the next one. So an upset is not possible there for me, in my opinion. Um, na Ned Ned na El Ken Awe. Oh, you're going to have to teach me that in the comment section, man. Be regular in the comment section, and I'll try to respond to you so that I can learn to pronounce your name. Especially if you're going to be in the live comments regularly, so that I know how to pronounce your name properly. Oh crap, Aylin Perez just missed Wade. I mean, I think her missing weight plays more into her grappling. I mean, she can use the weight to actually. Um, I mean, it doesn't sound really well when it comes to gas tank, but I don't feel like when it comes to wrestling, the weight can actually work in that particular person's favor. If someone is a grappler, they can use their weight. I think that's how Kelvin Gastelum was able to beat Daniel Rodriguez. Yeah, I think that's the only reason Kelvin Gastelum won that fight was because he was fat at welterweight, so he managed to use his weight to get a decision, right? Which is crazy because Calvin Gastelum is the same guy who was having a war on the feet with Israel Adesanya, and he felt like he had to grapple with Daniel Rodriguez. Anyone who feels confident or who felt confident about that pick should be ashamed. This is coming from me. Um, anyway, so yeah, I think Aylin Perez missing weight will not change the fight that much. That's just that's just how I think. Yeah, I hope so too, man. I hope she does. I mean, we're not on her. To be honest, I don't pick anyone based on hype. If you follow my channel, I go with people who most people disagree with. Especially in the past, a couple of people were disagreeing with a couple of the picks that I was making, and they ended up being right. So I only pick Perez because she's the better of the two. Doesn't mean I think she's an incredible fighter. I just feel like out of the two of them, she has the highest probability of winning. Ludovic Klein versus Roosevelt Roberts. Ludovic Klein is a minus 800 favorite, and Roosevelt Roberts is a plus 550 underdog. My subscribers feel like this fight is safe. My subscribers and I went with Ludovic Klein. Um, it's crazy because when my predictions come out, I think someone should track because my UFC 307 predictions will be coming out tomorrow. Just note down or take a screenshot of the odds so that when I go live, you can tell me what the odds are. It seems like every time I pick someone who's not a favorite, somehow they eventually become a favorite. I don't know why. I'm not going to be arrogant enough to say a lot of the people, or rather, a lot of the odds makers watch or rather watch my predictions. I'm not going to go that far, but it's interesting to know that there are some fighters that when I pick them, they're not massive favorites or even favorites at all, and then the week like the Friday or the like a few days before the actual card, those people have risen to like crazy amounts. I think the only people who are not favorites, I think there are like 2 or 3 fights that are not favorites, and like it's a 14 fight card, which is crazy to me because I don't even pay attention to odds. Actually, let me stop rambling. Um, Robert's log of the century. Tizzy, I know you're playing, right? Like you can't really believe that. Um, so in the Tyler Lapilus fight, I don't think an upset is possible. I don't think Ludovic Klein is going to lose this one, so I don't think an upset is possible here. So Ludovic Klein would be one of, or rather, the second fight that I feel pretty confident about. So I'm going with obviously Ludovic Klein, and this is my second fight that I feel pretty confident about. The first one was Tyler Lapilus. So yeah, I don't think an upset is possible here. On to the next one, Omar Sai versus Dawung Jong. I don't know if I pronounced that properly. My subscribers and I went with Omar Sai. My subscribers feel like this fight is 71% safe. Dawung Jong, or rather, I felt like this. I felt like this fight is 70% risky. How is Omar such a massive favorite? Omar is a minus 500. Omar is a minus 500 favorite, and the Daung Jong is a plus 350 underdog. Do I think an upset is possible here? Yeah, yeah. I think it's crazy for the odds to be this. I think it's insane, to be honest. For me personally, I feel like this fight looks like Aileen Perez versus Daria. Why are people so confident in Omar? He looked gassed, even though the other guy was busy talking. He was struggling, man. It's like a minus 650 on my book. I mean, it's crazy to me. Like, how is Omar? How are people this confident in this guy, man? He looked gassed. He looked gassed. If that guy wasn't busy telling us that Omar is gassed and was actually trying to fight, he might have actually got him tired and not gotten submitted. But he was busy telling us that he is gassed and ended up getting submitted. That idiot. Anyway, um, yeah, man. I think an upset is possible here. Let me see. Um, Obviously, we don't know enough about Omar, but the striking didn't look like it was there in his last fight. Um, um, Take Luda with a knockout for minus 125. Who's Luda? Um, Omar's striking didn't look that great in his previous fight, and I think Dawun Jong will be the better striker. Obviously, we know that that's not what Omar is going to be looking for. He's going to be looking for takedowns and submissions. We understand that. But another problem is guessing out, and he's not very fast. You know, when someone guesses out, but he's as fast as Hamza Chimaev is, at least you can give them the benefit of the doubt. Or, okay, the dude is fast. He doesn't need to have cardio. He can get to where he wants to be in a very short period of time. But Omar is very slow, and I don't know. I don't understand why people are so confident. But hey, maybe they know something I don't. But I think an upset is possible here. So on to the next one: Ion Kutelaba versus Ivan Erslan. My subscribers and I went with Ion Kutelaba. Um, my subscribers and I don't know what we're thinking about being this confident in Ion. My subscribers felt like this fight is 65% risky, 65% safe. And that was a reflex. When Ion Kutelaba fights, it's or he's going to look like he shouldn't be in the UFC. It depends on how he's feeling. so, so, so reflex says he's risky, but analysis says that he's probably going to win because I said he was 51% safe. The odds are a little bit closer. Well, they're not a little bit closer. I think the odds align with my analysis to some extent because um, the odds say Gudelava is a minus 120 favorite and Erslan is a plus 100 underdog, right? So here's my thing. I think I explained why I'm so worried about Ion Gudelava. It's because he's very inconsistent. I think he's a really talented fighter if he puts in the work, but he's very inconsistent, you know. So you don't know what version of him is going to show up. And because of that, and also the unknown, you know, anyone can look great outside the UFC, but you don't know how they are going to perform against like a really seasoned and tested fighter within the UFC. So yeah, I think that's why I said it was 51% safe. I felt like Ion Gutelaba has the finishing ability on the feet and on the ground. I think if anyone is going to knock anyone out, okay, let me not say it like that, but I think Ion Gutelaba might be able to either knock him out or submit him, but it's going to be close. I think even what's his name, Ivan Islan. I think he has the not as high probability, but I think he has the same abilities to actually do the same thing to Ion Kutelaba. So yeah, so yeah, it's really difficult for me to actually say, but I'm sticking. I wouldn't call Ian Gutelaba one of my confident picks because I'm not very confident. I just gave you what I said based on analysis, but I'm not very confident because it's very unreliable. So an upset is possible here. On to the next one: Fareziam versus Manfrivola. Um, my subscribers went with Fareziam. I went with Manfrivola. My subscribers feel like this fight is 86% risky. I said this fight is 100% risky. Um, Faraziam is a minus 120 favorite, and Manfrivola is a plus 100 underdog. Okay. Someone was leaving the house, so sorry about that. So yeah, Manfrivola is a plus 100, basically the same odds as Ian Kutalaba versus Ivan Aslan. Do I think an upset is possible here? Yeah, the fight is going to be really close. Faraziam, obviously, on the feed is going to be the more technical fighter. Is going to be better at striking. But I think someone said in the comment section that you need an extra level of finishing abilities in order to put Matt Frivola away. And I don't feel like Faraziam has that. And on the ground, I feel like Matt Frivola will have the advantage. Um, and even on the feet, man, I think Frivola has the power, but I think he's going to be outclassed if he tries to strike with Faraziam, unless he somehow manages to land like a massive shot. But outside of that, I don't see. I just pray that Matt Frivola's training camp was focused on wrestling. That's the main reason why I picked him. I think he can win if he grapples. Right. I don't think Faraziam is going to knock Matt Frivola out in any way, shape, or form. If anything, he's going to maybe overwhelm him with volume and maybe, I don't know, finish him in the second round if Frivola did not show up, which is something I don't think is going to happen. So the one punch knockout, I don't think is there. for Faraziam. But I think it's there for Matt Frivola. The problem is, I mean, Faraziam is really technically good on the feet. So yeah, I just hope Matt Frivola's plan is to wrestle. I think if he does that from the first round, he's definitely going to win this fight. Even if he doesn't get a submission, he's probably going to get a decision. And that's probably the main reason why I picked him. But that's my reasoning. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that I'm 100% confident that's what's going to happen. And that's basically why I said this fight is 100% risky. So yeah, most definitely, it's a coin flip in my opinion. On to the next one: Morgan Charrier versus Gabriel Miranda. My subscribers feel like this fight is 80% risky. I feel like this fight is 65% risky. Um, Seems like the odds disagree because Morgan Charrier is a minus 550 favorite, and Gabriel Miranda is a plus 400 underdog. My subscribers and I went with Morgan Charrier. In the previous fight, my subscribers went with Ziam, and then I went with Frivola. I don't remember if I actually pointed that out. Anyway, Morgan Charrier is our pick on this one. Do I think an upset is possible here? I don't know. It's close enough. If my biggest issue is that Gabriel Miranda is a finisher, right? Um, I know he's old, but I never, I never overlook someone with a 100% finishing rate, which is something that the Gabriel Miranda has. And I know people will come with different logics as to why Morgan Charrier is the more superior fighter. That's why I picked him. But I feel like the odds are insane to be. Maybe they see something I don't see. It's not like Morgan Charrier has the best. He has decent takedown defense, but it's not like the best, in the division. So it means he can be taken down, and if that happens, it's gonna be a problem. But um, Morgan Charrier looked really good in his previous fight, so yeah, I think this probably might go to a decision. I don't know, unless if Morgan Charrier is a future title contender, then he's going to change everything. But this is, in my opinion, that's why I think my subscribers and I agree in terms of the risk level of this fight, right? That's why my subscribers said this fight is 80% risky, and I said 65% risky because the risk level is very high, and it doesn't seem like a lot of people realize that. So I think an upset is possible here. Yeah, I think an upset is possible here. But my pick and my subscribers' official pick is Morgan Charrier. I'm going ZM. Okay, I hear. I definitely want to sprinkle some. I'm not gonna lie, Morgan was 50-50 on regional scene and he has decent takedowns. I think out of all the big favorites, this one's most likely to sell. But if he can keep it upright, he should win. Yeah, I agree with you, Twizzy. I think Morgan Charrier should win, but minus 550 is crazy to me. Um, Anyway, on to the next one: Kevin Josette versus Brian Battle. My subscribers and I went with Brian Battle. My subscribers feel like this fight is 50% risky. I feel like it's 53% risky. Um, Kevin Josette is a plus 155 underdog, and Brian Battle is a minus 185 favorite. Do I think an upset is possible here? sadly, yes. Um, I actually didn't believe I picked Brian Battle, even though he looked sensational in his previous fight against Angelosa, which in that fight I actually picked Brian Battle. I didn't actually think I would pick against Kevin Joseph, but after taking a bit of a closer look at this particular fight, I saw some few elements. I mean, both of them are improving, but it just seems like there's, and people don't take this into consideration. There's improvement and there's improvement with purpose. And I feel like Brian Battle is improving with purpose. He wants to be ranked. He wants to see himself fighting for the title. I saw the same thing in Joaquin Buckley, right? Him challenging Darren Till and Hamza Chimaev when no one knew who he was, right? It looked stupid at that point, but I could see that he was trying to actually challenge himself against some of the best fighters. So that's mainly one of the biggest reasons why I went with Brian Battle. I feel like both of them are really decent fighters. I think both of them are really well rounded, and the fact that Kevin Joseph trains at City Kickboxing is a really good advantage. But I mean, we've seen that training at City Kickboxing doesn't necessarily make you invincible. It just means you're a really good fighter, um, but you can still get finished and submitted. Um, yeah, I think I wouldn't say this is the make or break fight for Brian Battle, but it's going to be really interesting to see how this fight plays out. Because on the feet and even on the ground, like I see this fight as 50-50. I don't even know why I said this fight is 30% risky. I should have said something like 70% risky because I feel like it's really close. Um, so yeah, I think an upset is possible here, but I'm going with Brian Battle. I think he's improving with purpose. Um, Whereas Josette, I feel like he's trying to get his feet wet in the UFC. Uh, might not be the most accurate analysis, but I think I'm on the right track. I don't know if that even makes sense. Um, Let me reply to you. Um, he should win. Oh, I actually think Wonder Boy gets the upset on Buckley. I think he's plus 180. You think Wonder Boy is going to beat Buckley? Man, after seeing him do what he did against a guy with a reach advantage, nah, man. I don't think Buckley is going to lose, man. I think Buckley is going to be beaten in the top five, or it depends who he fights in the top 10. But I don't see him losing to Wonder Boy. I mean, I haven't done any analysis, so this is just coming from the top of my head. When the predictions come out tomorrow, you might see me picking Wonder Boy, but Wonder Boy is old. And I know Wonder Boy is different. He takes care of himself. Age does not affect him the same way a lot of people are affected by age. But I think people were were misled by Wonder Boy's performance against Shafkat. Shafkat is not an incredibly talented striker. He's really decently good at mixing everything up. So people saw Shafkat struggling or somewhat desperate to clinch and actually take Wonderboy down, and which was smart, but that then translated to people thinking that that means Wonder Boy is still at a championship level. He might be, but I honestly feel like he's past his prime. Kevin Holland lost that fight because he wasn't trying to win. He was basically, um, walaikum salam. He wasn't trying to win. He was just trying to be popular. And it doesn't seem like it's going to affect his career because Kevin Holland is always on the main card of every pay-per-view for some reason. Whether he loses or wins doesn't really matter. So Buckley can mix in the takedowns, and we saw the effectiveness of that when Bilal Muhammad fought Leon Edwards. You don't have to be the most elite of strikers in order to get the takedown. You just don't have to make it obvious. You just have to have some level of threatening ability on the feet in order for that particular person to forget the fundamentals in terms of defending takedowns so that they're too worried about. And I'm not saying that Buckley is going to be significantly better in terms of striking, but if he can be threatened, like dangerous enough to just make um, what do you call him, Wonder Boy forget his wrestling, I think that's how he's going to win. Buckley has a slightly higher IQ, in my opinion. I don't know what the subscribers said on that particular fight. I can't remember, but I'm sure they went with Wonder Boy. But I think Buckley has a decent fight IQ. I think he's probably going to take the fight to the ground. I think he's going to mix everything well. It might be close, but I think Buckley is going to win that fight. Why am I breaking down a fight for UFC 304? 307, I mean. Yeah, I think he's fought the very best grapplers in the division. He should be better against lower level grapplers like Buckley, and he's gonna light him up on the feet. Nah, I guess we'll see. I haven't analyzed yet, but I don't think he's going to win. Anyway, on to the next one. William Gomez versus Joanderson Britu. My subscribers and I went with Joanderson Britu. My subscribers feel like this fight is 100% risky. I said it's 55% risky. William Gomez is a plus 215 underdog. Joanderson Britu is a minus 270 favorite. Do I think an upset is possible? Um, woo, yeah. This fight is flipping close. It's the same as Kevin Joseph versus Brian Battle. This fight is probably a little bit worse, in my opinion. It's extremely close. I know that that's one of the reasons why I picked Joanderson Britu. I feel like he is a little bit more aggressive. He's going to be a little bit more stronger. Um, he has more ways to win, whether it's a knockout or it's a submission. I feel like he has more ways to win. He's a little he's a little bit more aggressive when it comes to actually getting the finish. I don't feel like cardio is going to be a problem, but I don't think it's going to be as easy as people think it is, man. I could be wrong. This is the same guy who beat Diego Lopez on the Contender Series. A lot of people forget that Joanderson Brito actually beat Diego Lopez on the Contender Series. Joanderson Brito went on to get into the UFC and I think lost one fight if I'm not mistaken and has gone on a run ever since. And then obviously we know Diego Lopez's story into the UFC, but this is the guy who beat Diego Lopez before Mobzaev Loev. Um, I don't know, man. On the feet, I think it's going to be evenly matched. Um, I think Brito throws a lot. I think Gomes is defensively good. On the ground, I feel like Brito will probably find a way to take the fight down, but it's not easy to take Gomes down. who's going to submit who. Most probably it's going to be Joe Anderson Brito, but I mean Gomes also has submission wins. The power is going to go to Joe Anderson Brito. Obviously can knock you out, but the reach and defense is obviously going to go to William Gomes. So I think people are looking at this fight like the Morgan Charrier fight. Maybe they are right, maybe I'm wrong, but I think it's going to be a little bit closer than people make it out to be. But I'm still going with the Joe Anderson Brito. Do I think an upset is possible here? Yeah, yeah. This is one of the few cards where there's been so many fights that I felt like upsets were possible. And I do mean that on this particular card. The upsets are possible here. Um, whew. On to the next one. Nasruddin Imavov versus Brandon Allen. My subscribers and I went with Nasruddin Imavov. My subscribers feel like this fight is 60% risky. I said it's 100% risky. Imavov is a minus 240 favorite, and Brandon Allen is a plus 195 underdog. Do I think an upset is possible here? I don't know, man. I mean, it is possible, but I don't think the probability of it happening is high. Based on previous performances, I don't know, man. Like based on previous performances, it's hard for me to see. I mean, Brandon Allen's path to victory here is to take the fight to the ground, and I don't think it's gonna be very easy to do that um, against Imavov, right? Imavov has been improving significantly, and to do what he did to Jared Cannonier is not an easy thing to do, right? I can't remember the last person who has been able to finish Jared Cannonier, and I know it was controversial, but I think it was still going to end, even if it wasn't early. Right? It was still going to end. It's not like Cannonier would have. That's how I feel. So, and he looked sensational in that fight, and I picked him as well in that particular fight. I do think it's a very risky fight, and that's why I said it's 100% risky. But based off of previous performances, it's challenging for me to see Brandon Allen dominating on the ground, right? I know he submitted Paul Craig and all those type of things, but the success of Brandon Allen relies on somehow being able to strike to some extent, I guess. And if you can neutralize him on the feet, I think you'll be able to have a massive success as long as you don't get taken down to the ground. And I feel like Nasruddin has a decent enough ground game in order to actually improve to have decent defense, right? I don't know if I'm making enough sense. So I think Imavov will be defensively good. I don't think he's going to even attempt to go to the ground with Brandon Allen. I think Allen is going to get pieced up. Um, yeah, I don't know if I've ever felt that Allen was good. I've just been in shock that he's managed to get where he is because he's been rising the ranks. But I've never really felt like he was a good fighter. I just felt like the middleweight division is not great. Um, yeah, I just don't feel like the middle. Now with people like Hamza Chimaev, Bo Nickel, um, who else? I don't know if Caio Borralho. Okay, we'll see, man. I mean, he went to war with Jared Cannonier. How old is Jared Cannonier? So yeah, I don't know how I feel about that performance. It was good, but you still went to war with Jared Cannonier, a 40-year-old basically. Um, and Nassourdine Mavov actually finished him. So that's what I was expecting from Caio Borralho. But I actually did say leading up to that fight, even though I picked Caio Borralho, I did say that I think Caio Borralho is not as good as his fighting nerds gym members. I think number one would be Jin Silva, number two would be Carlos Prates, number three would probably be Caio Borralho. In terms of talented strikers, or rather talented fighters in that particular gym, Jin Silva is probably number one. Sorry for getting sidetracked. So I think Imavov is a little bit better. Being able to finish Jared Cannonier is an achievement, an accomplishment, because who was the last person to do that, and when last did it happen? You know, I mean, I could be wrong, but I'm picking Imavov. It's going to be close. Is an upset possible here? I don't know, man. I know it. I said it's 100% risky. I don't know if an upset is going to happen here. I don't know. I don't know. Maybe I trust my analysis, so maybe it's I saw something when I said 100% risky, and I'm still sticking with that. But based on what I'm looking at right now, I mean, I'm not saying it's going to be pure dominance for Imavov, but I think he should definitely win this fight. Before I move on, let me try to reply. Um, do you think voting that the Ziam versus Trivola doesn't end in a decision is a good bet? Ziam versus, I don't know, what's that fight? Oh, Frivola. He wrote Trivola, voting that. I think it's going to be a close fight, so to say that it won't end in a decision is pretty risky because if you get a close fight, it usually ends up going to a decision. Finished Jared. He returned too fast. Nah, man. I don't think. I feel like Paul Craig kind of lets people on top. Is the difference? Yeah, I believe Bo is lined up. Feels like 90% of the risk is a sub. Yeah, I agree with that. Um, anyway, let me get to the main event. I've been sick, guys, so don't be surprised if you haven't seen me in a while. But I'm almost at my 100%. Um, Renato Moicano versus Benoit Saint Denis. My subscribers and I went with Benoit Saint Denis. My subscribers feel like this pick is 58% risky. I feel like it's 51% risky. Moicano is a plus 220 underdog. St. Denis is a minus 270 favorite. Is an upset possible here? Whew. It's tricky. It's tricky to because St. Denis is very wild. He has power. He has reach. So I think that will give him the advantage in the striking exchanges. But Moicano has been improving, but he's 35 at lightweight, and that's not good. That's not good. Bilal Muhammad is probably one of the few along with Valentina Shevchenko, but I don't think we should count women's MMA in this particular statistic. But there aren't that many people who've performed well at high level fighting in the UFC after they hit the age of 25, 35, right? Renato Moicano, for me, is not elite enough to even be in the top five. I'm sorry to say that. Um, I think he's a decent fighter, but I don't think he's good enough to actually get into the top five. Benoit and Denis has the ability, but he has to improve, right? I don't say that about Renato Moicano because he's been in the fighting business for a very long time. If he was going to get better, he would have gotten better. So most likely we're going to see more or less the same version of himself, especially because he's getting older. So at this point, he won't know it consciously. It happens to every single fighter. It's happening to Kamaru Usman. It's happening to Israel Adesanya. You don't think you're old until you are Tony Ferguson, and you're like, damn, how did I lose that many fights? You know. So I don't know, man. I don't feel like Renato Moicano is elite. He's a really exciting fighter. He was losing the fight against Jalen Turner. Um, Jalen Turner made a stupid mistake. So for me personally, I don't feel like he's been winning because of skill alone. He was losing the fight with Drew Doba, and he found a way. I'll give him that, but it's not. It hasn't been impressive, in my opinion. The ways that he's been winning is because of his grappling, and I don't feel like he's going to out grapple Benoit Saint Denis, right? I think this fight will come down to fight IQ because if this fight stays on the feet, which I think or hope it does, Benoit Saint Denis is going to knock out Renato Moicano because Benoit Saint Denis has the power, he has the reach. Granted, Renato Moicano is good defensively. He doesn't get hit a lot. That's something he has going for him. But Benoit Saint Denis throws a lot of strikes, and he's a little bit more accurate than Renato Moicano. So for me personally, I feel like with Benoit Saint Denis's striking accuracy, volume, reach, and power, and the fact that Renato Moicano won't be able to use the one thing that he's been able to use in the past couple of fights that he's been winning against the likes of Drew Doba, Jalen Turner, um, to come out on top. I don't think that's going to be there, which is wrestling, because he's not going to go out there and out wrestle Benoit Saint Denis, right? I don't think so. I think Saint Denis is a wild fighter, but the only advantage on the feet I would give to Moicano is the fact that he's defensively good. Um, but defense doesn't win you fights. You need to be able to hurt someone. And if anyone is going to hurt anyone, in my opinion, it's going to be Saint Denis. I mean, he was winning the fight against Poirier. He just gassed out. He had staph infection, but I don't like making excuses for fighters. So I guess we'll just have to see if his cardio will be better. But he'll be fighting in Paris. I think he'll be extra motivated to actually win. And he's also coming to prove a point. I think he's also disappointed. That loss might have made Benoit Saint Denis an even better fighter because he was this close to fighting for a belt because he realizes that after losing to Poirier, Poirier fought for the belt. So in his head, he's probably saying that could have been me. So there's a part of him that has a chip on his shoulder. I'm sure he was in camp working exceedingly hard. Um, I don't know, man. Two wrestlers or two people who are decently good at grappling, usually it cancels out each other. And even if Moicano tries to grapple, who is probably going to get the fight to the ground? I think Moicano has better takedown entries, but I think he's not going to be able to control Saint Denis on the ground. I don't think that part of his game is going to be effective. So the fight is going to stay on the feet. Accuracy, volume, reach, and power on the side of Saint Denis, and on the side of Moicano is defense. I don't get hit a lot. You still get hit, just not a lot. But it doesn't take a lot to get knocked out. So I think it's pretty clear who's going to win. Um, I think that's why I said it's 15. What did I say? 51% risky. Because I don't know how Benoit St. Denis's cardio is going to look like. I don't know how good he is defensively on the ground, especially if he somehow gets on his back. Because Moicano has really good takedown entries. He knows how to take someone down. The reason why I didn't say this fight is safe is purely because I don't know if Benoit St. Denis can get up if it's taken down. I do believe that he can, but I've never seen it, especially against someone like Renato Moicano, who's probably going to be training for that. That's why I said it's 51% risky, but I'm pretty confident that Benoit St. Denis is going to win. Let me respond to Tweezy and I can bounce. Agreed. Moicano is chilly, but if BDS doesn't get it done in 3 rounds, I'll be looking to live bet Moicano. His cardio hasn't held up in both his losses in UFC. Yeah, yeah. That's basically why I'm worried. The takedown, getting up once being taken down, as well as cardio. Those are the only two things that scare me about Benoit St. Denis. Yeah, it's good to be back. I'll try to respond to everyone's comments. If you're new to the channel, go through the entire channel, and I mean that literally. Video, shorts, community, live. There's so much on the channel. Um, Thank me later. Predictions for UFC 307 coming out tomorrow. Um, until next time, which will probably be Monday, when I recap the results. Hopefully I get my bounce back. I get all 14 right. You never know. It can happen. So, so hopefully I get those